Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Suzzanna Martinez, and I'm a Senior Marketing Manager supporting public sector solutions with Elastic. I'm joined today by John Harmon, our RVP for Cyber Solutions with our federal team here at Elastic, who will provide a security demonstration after I provide some brief opening remarks on maximizing data utility in mission delivery, citizen services, and education. I want to start off by saying we've all experienced incredible changes happening in technology. Over the last several decades, computing power has scaled dramatically. Computers themselves have moved from a handful of mainframes in mostly research laboratories to billions of mobile devices in our pockets and on our wrists, enabling on-demand fulfillment. This means that as a society, the way we use data is constantly evolving. And needless to say, the data we generate and consume grows exponentially. But with all this new data comes an opportunity to put that data to work in public sector to find ways to drive efficiency and ignite innovation, and at the end of the day, enhance mission delivery, citizen services, and education. As you saw on my previous timeline slide, we're now in the era of on-demand fulfillment, where data can flow through any device, anywhere, anytime, really expanding the art of the possible of what we can do with that data. This has led to new things like the US military concept of JADC2, where the objective is for data ingested anywhere to be localized to the warfighter so that he or she can perform the task at hand. It's led to the concept of composable government, coined by Gartner, where IT leaders move away from large, siloed systems to provide more modular microservices for both personnel and the public to use. And in education, it's led to the practice of asynchronous learning, where students learn on their own schedules within a certain time frame. This evolution in how we use data has called on us to rethink the traditional IT and operational framework of people, process, and technology to become a new framework of people, productivity, and protection. I'm glad to see that people are the constant factor here, but there's certainly a tighter focus on the tools that make people more productive and the tools that protect their work. As we make this framework shift, our eyes must be open to various factors, both internal and external. First, the inability for people to find information results in staggering costs to enterprises. Applying IDC's model, this cost is in the billions for large organizations like the US Department of Defense, and in the millions for even mid-sized state governments like state of Nebraska, right in the middle of the United States. Next, the Uptime Institute found that 39% of data center outages are caused by software, IT, and network errors. Altogether, these errors cause data centers to be down even more than power outages. And ITIC data shows that just how crippling those costs can be due to those outages. And then finally, hardly a day goes by without a headline or about a breach or a fraud attempt that impacts public sector. And these will only increase by 2025, as you can see here, requiring better protections. So considering this new IT and operational framework and the internal and external factors, how can you maximize data utility in public sector so that your end users are more productive and your ecosystem is continually protective? Well, these are areas at Elastic where we think we can help. As you're determining how to best digitally serve your constituents, our platform can help you empower people to find the information they need. As you're trying to extract as much value from data that you can to drive IT, operational, supply chain, uptime, and efficiency, our platform can furnish the insight you need to optimize your ecosystem. And then as you're finding better ways to protect that ecosystem and your data, our platform provides you with limitless detection and precision response. By the way, we do have a polling question up related to these challenges, so please complete those anytime during this presentation. Now, I've mentioned the term platform quite a bit. Here's a snapshot of our search platform, which is deployable on FedRAMP to GovCloud, the cloud marketplace, or on-prem, and it's all powered by search. Elasticsearch, the search engine, which by the way is a search engine for leaders in on-demand fulfillment like Uber, Netflix, Instacart, and others, it's at the heart of our platform. Combined with Kibana, our easy-to-use visualization tool, we provide trusted enterprise search, observability, and security solutions. From providing a powerful website, workplace, or application search function to critical infrastructure monitoring to flyaway kits for threat hunting in public sector, we can help with every data-dependent use case. And because Elastic is free and open, a number of our users begin using Elastic for, say, observability with logging and metrics on their applications, and then expand into security with enterprise SIEM. And they're able to do this all on a single platform. So with that high-level overview of the Elasticsearch platform, I'd like to turn the presentation over to John Harmon to do a deeper dive into Elastic Security specifically and highlight some updates made in our 7.14 release. John.
Thanks. All right, so we're going to talk about today is Elastic Security, and we're going to kind of explain kind of what it is, what we kind of offer, and then a new kind of explanation of what we call limitless XDR. So first, let's just kind of talk about at a high level what Elastic Security is. So at the end of the day, what we want to be able to do is detect, analyze, investigate our endpoints and our telemetry that we're collecting from our enterprise. So on the collection side, here on this slide, we have a bunch of different listings of different kinds of telemetry and data. So these are all the different kinds of data sources. It might be from a cloud, might be user data, network activity data, endpoint telemetry or alerting data. Also, you can have Windows logs and PCAP and everything you might want to collect from there. And we can all collect it via the Elastic agent that comes with all of our current customers' deployments. And that runs on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. And it can collect all these kinds of data sources and then it'd be normalized by the Elastic Stack for analysis. And when that comes in, we're able to analyze this data, we're able to look at it from the SIM, and then we can respond to it using the Elastic agent through our endpoint security. We can then isolate the host, and we can also be looking through all the alerts that we have in there. And then we have even the way to do reporting. So we have Lens and Canvas where you can build custom visualizations for reporting or compliance, or to build kind of custom dashboards for you and or your leadership. All right, so I kind of mentioned before this whole concept of limitless XDR. XDR is basically a concept that it's called swivel chair analytics, is something that customers have been constantly doing. We have 3 or 4 different tools for your endpoint, for your SIM, for your logs, and the ability of having one centralized platform to do all this is really the whole concept of XDR. XDR meaning the extended detection response. And so we basically have at Elastic the whole idea of a limitless XDR running on our free and open platform. So when we say limitless, a lot of customers are like, well, John, what do you mean by limitless? That sounds kind of like, a marketing term. What does that really mean? And so when we say limitless, we kind of have these 4 kind of main concepts of what we believe limitless means for Elastic Security. First being limitless visibility. Now we have hundreds of one-click integrations, whether it be endpoint security, or OS query, or Windows logs, or developing kind of PCAP, or other kinds of network telemetry being collected. All this can be done via our UI, where we can deploy these different integrations, all using the Elastic agent on a Windows, Linux, or Mac endpoint. Then we get to limitless data. This is a fairly new feature that we added in 7.13 here over the summer. And the whole idea is that it uses we have a frozen tier with searchable snapshots that allow customers to store essentially unlimited amount of data. And the whole idea there is that you can store enough data to, one, respond to some of the latest executive orders that have been kind of put out for some of our federal customers, or really be able to store and keep our data actionable for month, 3 months, 9 months, 12 months, 5 years of data, so that it's actionable, and then we can actually react to these kinds of things. This is a great kind of response to the SolarWinds kind of attack that we had earlier this year in 2021, where we had an adversary living in the network for well over a year. And we saw a lot of customers really struggle with how they can react to that. And my challenge that I told a lot of customers is, well, what happens when the next SolarWinds happens? When the FBI comes knocking on your door and says, hey, we have an adversary that's been in your government network for well over a year, how long will it take you to respond to? How much will it cost? And what is the damage that will happen, to respond to that? And, my whole kind of challenge is, what if I told you that question, instead of taking multiple days, weeks, or months, could basically be a 5-minute query where we have, be able to search for multiple years of telemetry. Then we get limitless analysis. This is what everybody loves Elastic for. It's being able to search, correlate, and be able to run our machine learning jobs and our analytics on our security data all across multi-cloud environments, of course, if you want to kind of do it that way. So, having that great and analytical tool to be able to look at all the different kinds of telemetry to do analysis for our cybersecurity data. And of course, limitless value. I came from the Endgame acquisition, so Elastic acquired Endgame in 2019. We're a endpoint detection response and an endpoint protection platform. And Elastic just added our capability directly into their current customers. If you were an enterprise customer, you automatically got now a EPP EDR. And with our release in 7.14, the released here in the end of summer 2021, customers now have all this integration into that. It's just you have a endpoint technology along with SIEM, and we all call that Elastic Security. And so that's really where the value comes. Is that we don't charge per seat or per gigabyte ingest or anything like that. It's essentially how much software do you need to perform the job. So really constantly showing new value. In fact, we just announced here recently some new cloud security acquisitions that Elastic has been doing. And the goal there is to just keep adding value to then add cloud security as a continued capability to our current customers. All right, so that's the concept of limitless XDR. So at limitless XDR, again, extended detection response. It is including our SIEM capabilities with endpoint security, and this is all kind of the umbrella under Elastic Security. All right, so now we're going to hop into a demo. So first, we're going to look at the Elastic Security app. So we can see on the screen here, we actually are in the security app now in the overview. If we click the little 3 lines up here, we can see that all the other applications of Elastic are still there. So we see our analytics, enterprise service, observability, and security, obviously, and some management stuff. But today, obviously, we're going to kind of just focus on just on security. So here in the security app, we have the overview page. On the overview page, we have all the detection alert, the trends, the detection alerts, the external alert trends, all the evented information that we have. You can see all the different kinds of information between Google Cloud Firewall. We have some AWS logs, some endpoint logs in here. Then we also have all the host events. So we can see where the host events are coming from. In this demo, we're mostly using the events from our endpoint security product. And then you would see network events if we were collecting packet beat or file beat information. And then also, too, we have threat intelligence, where we can overlay some threat intel from open source or paid threat intelligence feeds and have that intel overlaid on top of an alert you might be looking at. So I'd be looking at a certain kind of alert that has an IP address in it, and then you also can be alerted to say, hey, this happens to be in your threat intel for this particular IP address or whatever it might be. All right, so with that, what we're kind of do is let's go and just kind of jump in here to different kind of dig down into them. So let's kind of look at some alerts right now. So this is going to give us all the alerts that we have in our dashboard. And of course, we have really nice trend analysis. We can see all the different times our alerts are coming in, and we can even change what they're stacked by. We can see all the different kinds of alerts that we're currently seeing. In this one, we happen to be seeing a lot of malicious host name being queried here, and then all the different alerts that are in the bottom down here. And so from the alerts page, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and let's look at this malware detection alert. So I can basically kind of click on this little side area over here, and we're just going to filter it down for this malware detection alert. Just look at the malware detection alerts that we're seeing in our environment here. And you see that take a second, and what it's doing is it's going to filter them all down, and we're going to see all the malware alerts down here on the bottom. And we're going to be able to take a look and do some analysis of them. Okay, so we got those all back. And what we can do here is, so we have 4 alerts of the day or so of telemetry that we're looking at. And from right here, what we want to do is we're going to analyze this event. So we're going to click this little 3D box. And this puts us into a visualization where we're going to see a parent-child relationship. So we're going to see where this alert came from. So this one, we're looking at a particular piece of malware, and we're going to see the parent-child relationship. So what that means is, it's the processes that executed other processes. So in this view, we can see here, we see Outlook.exe, and then we see Outlook at launched Excel. Excel launched this weird-looking.exe, and we see this weird-looking.exe launching run DLL32, which is a program that's in all Windows systems, and it's an exe that is used to run DLL. So you could take a DLL and use it as an attribute for this exe, and then it'll execute. It is also very commonly used application for that malware uses. It's a way to kind of hide run DLL32 is a signed binary. And so it allows you to run DLL. So as an attacker, I could create a DLL, run it and execute it through run DLL32. And it looks like a signed binary running on Windows system. So it evades a lot of antiviruses out there. So from here, I can, all this is, kind of clickable. I can, kind of come in through here and see all the different information about this particular exe, who ran it, all the different kind of information about that. And you get a lot of good information on just kind of analysis. And of course, as it gets really big, I can, of course, zoom out on it to see a much larger tree. This one's fairly simple, so we'll leave it with there. All right, so from there, let's go ahead and close the analyzer. And let's go look at this as a timeline. So this is, this looks to me, this was something interesting. So let's do that. So let's go into here and say investigate in timeline, this little box with some other lines running through it. That's going to bring up the timeline interface. So from here, we can play with the data. We can kind of see more detailed information. You see that at the top, we have the ands and ors that we can basically, kind of like filter on. So from here, we're looking at just this one ID, right? So we have one piece of information here, but all this is clickable, right? And I can look over and see the host name, the user domain, everything else. So if I wanted to just drag and see, okay, what else have we seen on this particular host? I actually can grab this little box here and drag it up to this and now do an OR. So now I'm looking for this particular alert or anything coming off of that host name. And so let's kind of see what else. We know we have a piece of malware running on this one endpoint here. Let's see what all else we've been able to see from here. And we can all be able to view it and analyze it all from the timeline view as the data is kind of coming up. And from here, obviously, we're able to change the time. I actually can save it from here. I got it to favorites. I can actually share this and collaborate with it. All with other analysts that are on my team. So now we have all the results came back. We can see other results. We're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of other stuff kind of going on this host. I see some other malware, intrusion files, rules. I see some network events that happened on this guy here. So, lots of details that, it's like, oh, this is something I really should look at. And, say I'm the junior analyst, right? And I've, kind of already hit, what I'm able to do. And I want to kind of collaborate on this with a more senior level analyst. Okay, so now we're going to create a new case. So from in here, we're able to say names. I'm going to say, this is a demo, and you have tags, all the different tags are in there. I can say this is the demo tag, whatever I want to have. And then here I can put in whatever I want, whatever kind of information, that I want. I can even, bold things and say, give it, using kind of markdown. They actually can sync it to say, oh, I want to have a external incident management system of, any kind of third-party system you might want to have. Here in this example, I have Jira here. They create the case, and then it'll be in there for other teammates to be able to see it and comment on it and be able to maybe pass it on to a more senior level analyst. Okay, so now that we've created a case, let's see we need to do something about this. So let's, I'm some of the senior level analysts now, and I want to do something about this particular alert or this endpoint that's maybe having an issue. I want to go in and take some action. So I can see some information from here. I can see the endpoint does down in the lower right hand have this take action button. And from here, I can isolate this host. So from this, I would click isolate host. And what this will do is it actually will quarantine that endpoint so that it can no longer talk to the internet. What happens then is that only the Elastic Security platform can talk to it. So if we have an incident response team or we want to do follow-on actions with it to do some analytical work to it, we are the only platform that's able to talk to it, and it can't go and talk to other hosts or talk to the internet to talk to some kind of command and control for some kind of adversarial network or whatever. So that's how that's kind of like a really quick kind of explanation of kind of what we would do to kind of triage a particular alert for an endpoint. So one thing I want to kind of show too is talk about the rules. So within Elastic Security, we have a rules engine that uses a combination of machine learning and all the data we're bringing in via the Elastic Common Schema. We can use a technology we call the event query language that is basically a SQL-like language for talking about evented data. So these are kind of correlation rules. And so out of the box, we have, right now we have 560 rules. We add, several hundred, feels like every single release that we have out here. This is all the rules that kind of come out of the box. And you can see all the different kind of tags that we have, whether it be authentication, AWS, cloud, Azure, configuration audit, discovery, I see Google, host identity, all kinds of things, lateral movement. So it's a combination of like MITRE ATT&CK rules, along with some of the custom rules that the Elastic Security research team has added in to kind of help. And each of those things kind of come out of the box. So as you have endpoints or other technology that is sending data via the Elastic Common Schema, we're able to alert to these things via rules. These aren't signatures. These aren't like hashes and IP addresses and stuff. Although you could do that if you wanted to. These are correlated events. So what would that kind of look like? So let's go back into a timeline here and kind of show you what like a correlation would kind of look like. So let's just go ahead and put this guy back on the timeline. So now we're going to run into one of the correlations. So the correlations, like I said, are based off our EQL, our event query language. All of our detections from the detection engine are based off of this, but it actually can run arbitrary ones also. So I have one here that I can go ahead and paste in. And so we can see this is a sequence within a max span of 5 seconds. We have some network information in here. We want to see if we have the process name of run DLL, and we see it's already running as I typed it in here or copied it in here, and we're seeing results coming back. And so we're seeing these are events that are all based off of this query up here. It's super powerful language, like I said, and all of our detections are basically based off of this. Okay, so now that we showed EQL and correlations. And we're going to talk about a really cool technology that we have at Elastic. Actually, it's not even Elastic Security necessarily feature, it's an Elastic feature called Frozen Tier or searchable snapshots. So what allows customers to do is to store essentially a limitless amount of telemetry very affordably. It essentially allows you to store telemetry, a limitless amount of telemetry in some kind of a S3 like blob storage. It could be S3, it could be MinIO, it could be Azure Blob, it could be GCP. But it basically allows you to store as much data as you want, and you don't have to pay for the whole thing. You're basically paying for Elastic. This is a paid feature, but it is a part of as a part of your Elastic license. You're only paying for really the cache that's required to do that. So, like in this example here, we have about 4 terabytes of snapshotted packet data. And so we're going to, take a look at that. So let's just go ahead and create a new timeline. So bring timeline up here, and we're going to create a new timeline. And so down here, we're going to see if it's all data sources. So we're looking at just our normal events, SIM events and logs. And what we want to do is do show advanced. And we're actually going to blow these two away. And we actually created one here specifically called Frozen. And we're going to save that. It doesn't encompass yet because this is we created this for a 5-year window. So what we're going to do here is actually change this date. And we're going to go to absolute, and we're going to change this back to, let's do relative. We're going to do 5, and then we're going to say years ago. And then we're going to update that. And so we're going to bring the data back in here, and then we can actually kind of search for anything. So we can look for, all right, so now we have the date updated. Let's go ahead and throw a query in here. So let's look for a DNS query. I have one specifically saved over here. So look for a DNS name of cdnverify.net. This is one in the demo environment that we had that saw the attacker talking to. So now you see we're looking at 5 years ago up through the ending of this data set that we have here in the demo environment. All right, so we kicked off this DNS question name query, and this query would typically take somewhere between a couple minutes, somewhere between 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes to search through the 4 terabytes of data, equivalent to 4 or 5 years of telemetry. And so it's much faster than having to wait for, oh, there we go, came right back. So the much faster than having to wait for, there's several days of having to rehydrate the data, bring it all back, and everything else. So here, we can see, actually, let me change the timestamp here to go to the oldest, so you can kind of see that. And so we're seeing the 2021 data that came in for the cdmverify.net. And it takes you a second to sort this data. So this is 4 terabytes of data that we're currently manipulating here. Okay, so we see the query came back here, and you have it sorted by oldest first here. So we see 2017 is the date that came up first here, and yes, we have all this telemetry sitting in here from 2017. And so actually can look up too is just kind of show you how fast this was. I can inspect the timeline here, and we can see the date, how long it took. So we see here that took 127,000 milliseconds. So one last thing I want to show before we wrap up the demo here is the ability to deploy OS query using Elastic. And so one thing that's really cool about OS query is that it is essentially a SQL-like language for doing audits or doing threat hunting or being able to kind of ask questions of endpoints that we're currently deployed to. And so what's really cool about that is that I can ask questions and say, hey, show me every package is installed, every piece of software is installed, or show me all the network events and all kind of stuff. So here, actually, just a really simple example. Here we have a select from select star, so select all the endpoints that we have for Etsy hosts. So it's kind of running all the Etsy hosts. So I actually can run this guy. So here we can see the results of this query. So select star from Etsy hosts, and we can see there were two host names in here. So you can see this is the endpoint we've been looking at, for this entire demo, and we see it talking to cdnverify.net, which was the evil DNS name that we were kind of looking for through this whole demo. So with that, it was kind of short and sweet, kind of a demonstration of Elastic Security. There's lots of other features that, we have in the product, but those are kind of like the highlights of if I was, living as a SOC analyst, as a junior level analyst, as to, what I might do in my day. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Suzzanna. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And thanks to everybody for joining us today. I want to leave you with some contact information. Please visit us at our website, or you can reach out to our federal sales team directly or our state and local and education sales team directly here, as you can see. And I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that we do have some fantastic programs where we help people build digital skills with Elastic. We've got a program for veterans, and we've got a program for students and educators can actually build Elastic into their curriculums. So please check out those resources. And thanks again for joining, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.